Welcome to season number 2. All right, everybody, here we go. Game number 2 between imbaStrelok from FXO and EGiNcontroL. incontrol is down 0-1 against Strelok. Strelok looking to punch his way through into a victory.
Yeah, that 7 hours a day of practice is certainly looking like it's paying off for him. Had some very strong play in that last game. You know, often I'll see Terran players see something coming. They'll see some type of really aggressive build coming. Sometimes in Korean games, they'll scout a 6-gate on the way, and then they'll put up like 2 bunkers, and they'll just get walked over and they'll lose. And it's like, well, play a little bit safer, I guess, you know? But Strelok, no, he realizes the strength of that salvage ability and can just throw down as many bunkers as he wants, only losing 25 minerals, of course, per bunker after they get salvaged later on. And of course, you have to worry about, obviously, having minerals earlier as opposed to later, but playing very, very safe in that game with some really good scouting, and he just looks solid overall. He got ghosts out there off of 2 base, came forward with that attack, did get up to 3 base, but clearly went for some pretty early ghosts. I think he would have been solid even if incontrol had not got himself into that early disadvantage. Strelok just looks so strong.
Most certainly. And you know what? I don't want to speak for incontrol necessarily, but a lot of times... Okay, let me preface this first. incontrol just joined the EG Pro House in Arizona, and a lot of times when you go from, you know, not playing 8 hours a day to playing 8 hours a day, you start to rework your mechanics because you realize, hey, I'm in it for the long haul. I should have the very best. So incontrol is probably, I'm not saying he is, but he's probably reworking a lot of things, and you always dip a little bit when that happens. But then, obviously, you have your good mechanics and you're able to really work off of everything, being that the best player you possibly can. We might be seeing that a little bit right now. I hope that's what it is, because unfortunately incontrol did lose like pretty badly that last game.
Yeah, you know, that's actually a fantastic point that I didn't even think about, the fact that he did just start moving to the Pro House. You know, I've watched incontrol stream a lot, and he was one of those kind of players they had the one control group syndrome. I know you know what I'm talking about. You know, now that you can select as much as you want in StarCraft 2 and you can tab through to do spells, a lot of players would just put their entire army on one control group. They would just walk around with this death ball, and they wouldn't need to use different control groups, but you don't have quite as good control. You see players like Huck utilizing way more control groups so they can actually run their stalkers around independently of their zealots, etc. So it's possible that those are the type of things that he is trying to rework, and that kind of stuff is hard to relearn when you've been playing this game for a year, just over and over, tons and tons of games, especially on the same race where you have the same mechanics. All of a sudden you try to change that up, it's really, really hard to accomplish. But wow, look at that proxy factory on the way from Strelok. What is he going to use this for? You think it's going to be a proxy Stargate for Banshee? Or do you think he's actually going to do something crazy like proxy Hellion harassment or something insane like that?
There could be so many things. It could be something like Banshee. It could be something like Thor, actually. It could be Hellions, as you said. It could be siege tanks. Most likely not siege tanks, but definitely one of the other 3. It could just even be a scout. I've seen that before. That's going back to almost like the beta days that we saw that. But you know what? I was talking to White Rot, actually, and he's like, no worries. It's still a good build. You can go scout with it, use that one Hellion. They don't have enough to really do anything in that stage, and the Hellion, it proves to be wonderful. And oh my god, look at how good this factory is going to be. What does it see? A Stargate and a Gateway. It's like incontrol cannot get a break.
And you know what? I think it's possible that Strelok might have even been planning to go up to something like Cloak Banshee, because he got double gas very, very quickly after he got that that factory. So now that he sees it's going to be a Stargate, it's going to be something most likely 3-gate Void from Strelok's point of view, although I think with only 2 gates right now, it could just be something like 2-gate Phoenix. But he's probably not going to go for that. He might go for something instead like Vikings to be able to be prepared against this. He even got a Hellion out right now. He's going to try to get some probe kills right here. Are we going to see the micro from incontrol to pull those probes? We are going to see the micro from Strelok to target fire probes. No. Looks like he just wanted to attack twice and just escape with that Hellion.
He's just perusing around. He just wants to check out what's going on in the area. You know, it's a drive-by, man. It's all good. Nevertheless, we do see a huge attack coming in the front. I say huge for this early game. Now, all of his units, the 2 Marauders, are going to be posing a huge threat. It does look like he has a concussive shell. Yes, he does. And the Hellions deal so much damage to those probes. Oh my goodness. It looks like it's just 2 Marauders, now just 1 Marauders on this, and it looks like the Hellions are going to be sweeping in behind. So many probe kills,
no.
And oh my gosh, incontrol is just getting torn apart in this game. The 1 Hellion, actually 2 Hellions in the back, killing way too many probes. Let's go ahead and look at the probes lost tab. 9 probes, now 10. Can there be 11th? 11th probe, and there's only going to be 11. Only 11. What am I talking about? Meanwhile, there was a Void Ray that was made. It looks like another Hellion's going to come in here. Is it going to be able to get anything? No, I don't think it is, but this 1 Void Ray, you have to do a lot of work with that Void Ray, but I don't know if it's going to be able to do anything because there's already 1 Viking out.
There's already a second Viking on the way as well, and he's getting that second barracks on the way, so we'll be able to produce quite a few Marines. Already has 1 on a reactor, so definitely a successful play by Strelok. I think that was such a smart build. I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen a build quite like that, using those Hellions, even though he knows his opponent had scouted the factory, even though he was like, yeah, whatever, you got buildings right there. I'm going to make Hellions anyways. You can't kill my factory in time. My Hellions are going to pop out. They're going to run around. It's going to force your Stalkers to run around and chase the Hellions. That might even get some probe kills. And then what do you know? All of your units are out of position. Not only are units out of position to defend the ramp, but also incontrol was making nothing but Stalkers to defend against those Hellions, so he was completely unprepared if he didn't have those sentries in place to be able to force field the ramp and defend against those Marauders. So this is clearly just a really smart play from Strelok, and it's just kind of messing with incontrol's head right now, I feel.
Oh, most definitely. Incontrol is just so discombobulated from that opening. You can see that he's putting all Chrono Boost towards that Nexus just to catch up in probes. We can even see he's still behind in probes. Such a shame. This 1 Void Ray is going to clean up that factory over here, but you know what? Strelok is just looking so fantastic in this game. He's already up to Starport Tech, which is so devastating. He can start making those medevacs as soon as he gets stim and combat shields. He can basically bust out, and whatever incontrol has, it will be able to be defeated, in my opinion, just because the tech is so high for Strelok.
That's true, but at the same time, Strelok just now starting his second command center. I would have expected him to start that quite a long time ago. I mean, after he took out the last of incontrol's probes, he knew he was safe against the Void Ray. Really, the Void Ray is the only thing he could possibly take damage from, but he already had the Vikings out, and he knew incontrol couldn't possibly have an army right then, could only spend Chrono on probes. So I would have liked personally to have seen him drop down that command center right at that point in time and just take a huge advantage. So I feel like incontrol might have the tiniest chance of being able to pull back into this simply due to the fact that Strelok didn't capitalize on that advantage quite early enough, in my personal opinion. But it will be up somewhat soon here, and incontrol is going to be teching up to Colossi. So fortunately for Strelok, he's already going to have Vikings out and ready, so he probably will not be worried about those Colossi at all.
No, not at all. 1 base Colossus as well. We haven't seen this in forever. I don't think the NasL has ever seen 1 base Colossus until Season 2. And you know what? As you said, I don't know if it's going to be able to do enough damage. I mean, we already have 3 Vikings out, and that's a pretty high force already. Looks like the Starport has stopped making anything, but still, it's absolutely fine. I mean, he already has a pretty high count of Vikings for this, or excuse me, yeah, 3. Pretty high count of Vikings for this time in the game.
Yeah, I also feel like incontrol might be making a couple of mistakes here. He was just continuing to chrono probes. He's actually 4 probes over the optimal saturation right now, so that would be fine if he was going to take an expansion. But if you are going to stay on 1 base this long with 3 Gate, Stargate, and Robo going up to Colossus off 1 base, then probably just want to stay on that optimal saturation and utilize that chrono for the Colossus instead, since that timing is going to be very crucial. But he is going to go ahead and drop down that Nexus, so those probes will be helpful. In that case, would like to see him just continue to produce probes absolutely constantly, because he has been actually cutting for quite a while here, and that would have been fine on 1 base. But if he is going to go up to 2 base, he's going to need more probes if he wants to catch up to Strelok's economy.
And you know what? Just more and more indecisiveness coming from incontrol. This is really uncharacteristic of him. A lot of times he has a set plan and he knows exactly what he's doing. But this time around, I really feel like he's like, oh, I'm going to go 1 base Colossus all in, and then it's like, well, no, I'll go a Nexus. And if he got the Nexus first and then the Colossus, again, he'd be in a much better position. He'd maybe even have an extra chrono boost. He'd have higher income, so many different things. But now he's faced with a very difficult decision of defending this expansion with only 1 Colossus. Thermal Lance isn't finished, and you know what? This is really, really scary.
Oh, but beautiful force fields isolating all of his units, but he's got to be careful. Those Zealots, all of his units, even the Colossus walking in range. Oh no, incontrol. He had such good force fields, but unfortunately didn't pull his army back to the right positioning and left his Colossus and the rest of his Zealots, etc., all of his units in range. And there's the GG's.